And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Off Day. We're kind of live-ish. You know what, Andy? We're just not going to abandon the platforms that have given us love nonstop just because YouTube is ran by a petulant child. I'm sorry, X is ran by a petulant child.
If you would just give him $20 more a month, he would let you broadcast live.
I think it's more than that now, actually, because I think I pay for the one of them. I don't know. But
no, I'm at $20 over what you're already paying.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, $20 in addition to, which is key. Andy, I wanted to talk a little bit about a cross that I bear this morning as we jump into Off Day and we talk about an Astros team that's not very good and somehow has increased their lead in the division. First of all, thank you for my togs for the day.
Very nice.
Picked this very.
Was it a jersey day, or you just?
I just kind of felt like
professionally.
I just kind of felt like wearing. I hadn't worn it yet. We were doing the show, and I thought, why not?
The good news is you already have an outfit for St. Patrick's Day. Should you need it?
I'm telling you, I'm good to go, and I'm kind of becoming less concerned with things like dress codes and rules.
Fashion.
Yeah.
I know your military background leads you to believe that people should be of a certain dress for any occasion, but
that in every movie set in the future.
Well, yeah, because they're just going to issue you silver clothes.
I mean, yeah, I can't. I'm really excited for my silver jumpsuit era.
Silver jumpsuits.
But I noticed this thing. I'm a German Shepherd dad, proudly, and I love my German Shepherds. And every time I think about getting a different breed of dog, I don't. But one of the things that's really hard is you can be watching a certain documentary and you're watching this documentary and you're like, oh my God, look at all the puppies. Look how cute they are. And then you realize they're standing next to Hitler.
Yeah.
Or look how beautiful that dog is. That's attacking the black person in this civil rights documentary. It's tough being a German Shepherd dad, Andy. This is the cross I'm carrying around today.
They're just dogs. They're just following orders.
That
is their defense.
It's actually the documentary. It's a fantastic documentary I'm watching now on basically just the entire. It's essentially putting the case together for the Nuremberg trials, and it's so weird to see Hitler be such a cute dog person like everyone else. Because at dinner he's gassing people.
I do still believe. And I know Hitler's a really fun topic to start this conversation off with. I do still believe there is a world, and maybe it's the inundation of the multiverse in my brain lately. But if somebody had just bought one of his damn paintings,
if they'd just gotten into that art
one, just threw him a couple of Deutschmarks for, I don't know, a landscape, a fruit bowl, something, and give him the slightest bit of encouragement, he would have put his energies towards something else.
Something else. Yeah. I mean, he probably would have.
Instead, we get tiny mustaches and genocide.
Yeah. Tiny mustaches ruined for everybody going forward.
And we talk about the butterfly effect. I think we really should be talking about the tiny mustache effects, because that's be a patron of the art, folks. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You never know if that guy that's selling CDs in LA in front of the Chinese theater might someday be a fascist that will kill 1 million people.
Which is why Timothée Chalamet is full of shit. The ballet and the orchestra and symphonies are important because they prevent genocide.
They prevent genocide. That's what the Houston Ballet needs to hire us for their next marketing campaign. The Houston Ballet, preventing genocide since 1960 or whatever.
Yeah, nobody wants your 20% off share a ticket code. What they want is knowing that they're maintaining world peace. We're
going to go ahead and jump into some Ted Lasso talk, since obviously your name on your is the abbreviation for the report. I will say this about last night's episode. Whereas the first episode was clunky getting its stride, last night was classic Ted Lasso. And I just love the fact that somehow we got Roy Kent's best storyline in season 4. Everything he had done to the opposing locker room to psychologically throw off his opponent was just hilarious, including the inclusion of Jonathan the Rat. Long live Jonathan. When I texted you that, you're like, what the hell is Jim talking about?
I had already watched the episode, and I for whatever reason, the rat's name escaped my brain. But I rewatched and caught up. Yeah, it's. I don't think it's actually all that unique from a lot of coaches who like to play mind games. I mean, in American football, the visitors' locker room is usually a piece of shit. There are college football teams that are notorious for turning off the air conditioning in their locker rooms, LSU. And
It's rumored that Texas doesn't drop theirs below 80.
Yeah, and painting the locker rooms pink to make the teams more docile and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad to see that Roy Kent is fully into his paranoia and psychological warfare era and doing that. The column in the middle was kind of the best part for me because that whole thing was evidently just held in place by one piece of metal.
Yeah. Or just him like knocking the risers off the bench. But no, it was the I think it had the great classic combination of Ted. The humor was a little raw at times, but also again just really, really heartfelt. So of course we all knew that Coach Beard had to get back together with him, but the idea that he'd gone complete like hermit recluse in Ted's absence was just too good.
You mean Forrest Gump in his running era?
I mean, really and truly.
Because between the sunglasses, the trucker hat, and the hair, that's what that all screamed to me.
Yeah.
Calling back to probably one of the best episodes of this whole series, the rom-com episode, this was a perfect depiction of a conversation between a couple who had broken up but still loved each other very much.
Yes.
Beard and Ted played it to perfection. It was great. I also think the introduction of a character like Alice Chilton was fantastic because it's another person or a new person who doesn't necessarily buy into Ted Lasso's thing. Mm-hmm. Not quite yet. It'd be really interesting, like they did with Roy Kent over 3 seasons, to watch her slowly be sucked into that world. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. The locker room scene was just so emotional. And I think also, I mean, it's probably playing into where you and I live a little extra because we're both girl dads, right? We both, we know how this world can treat women. And so I think anytime we can see some of that change, but I also really loved Rebecca's whole treatise on sort of being made to feel guilty for not being a feminist enough until she woke up and realized that no, she didn't have to question her bona fides to anybody. I love that entire sort of dressing down when you didn't bother to think about what it's like to wake up being me and how hard that can be. I thought that whole sequence was so well written. And I think goes back to show you how a Bill Lawrence show can be about a lot of things at one time. And he's really good at balancing all of those themes.
Well, and I think the journey of self-reflection that the episode sent Rebecca on is necessary for a lot of us in a lot of ways and a lot of things. So at the end of the day, while she did come to her conclusion on it, I don't think the journey that she took was necessarily a bad thing, because it reaffirms or it causes you to, re-examine or whatever the case may be. But a lot of us should kind of look at our stances that we hold hard and true, and every now and then to go, is this right? Am I right? Because I think we get set in our ways and stop thinking about why we think the ways we think.
Well, nowadays we live in echo chambers that reward that.
At the same time, we all know that somehow AFC Richmond is going to overcome the bad odds they're placing on the viability of women's sports and make this successful. And I'm here for it because I watch Disney films and I know what the ending's going to be, and I still watch them and love them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the entire thing with Ted's press conference and being asked only questions about the men's team. I mean, I just thought all of that was so well written. Welcome to second division women's football, I guess. I don't know how much of the Astros game you were able to watch because you were at work, but they essentially won because a San Francisco Giants left fielder didn't shield his eyes long enough and let a ball drop in front of him. And poor Dalton.
And the play right before that, the short Willie Adamas decided that he wanted to play soft toss to start a double play. Both of those things together gave the Astros a 2-1 victory that they did not deserve, and gave them a 1.5 game lead in the division that they don't deserve. But who else? Nobody else in the division deserves it either. I'm fully here for the Mariners' complete collapse because I've been through plenty of them as a fan for my team. So watching a team lose 6 in a row when
and they got so loud last year.
Of course. Seahawks games start really soon for them, so I'm happy for that. No, it's this is just a shit division. I had been following a little stat, and you try to look for things that if you're going to make the playoffs, is there even a point in watching kind of thing? And we all talk about how anything could happen. The Astros prior to yesterday had and I wrote this down, a 28-18 record against teams that were over 500 or better. And so while you can argue about all the reasons they play shitty against shitty teams, that was kind of encouraging. With the Rangers' loss yesterday that dropped them below 500, those 28 wins turned to 19, which is just a microcosm of the smoke and mirrors this season is for the Astros.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that the Astros will be in the division race and probably will end up winning the division. I'll say that out loud, knowing that I probably just cursed the team to go on a 20-game losing streak. But this is not a good baseball team. They don't do anything fundamentally well. And if Jeremy Pena and Yordan Alvarez are both slumping at the same time, which they are on this road trip, slumping for Alvarez is also kind of a, in quotes, situation. Yeah. He's just not hitting home runs right now.
Yeah. And boy, he missed one. He just barely missed one yesterday, too.
There is nobody else on this team that's going to carry them to victory offensively. And the pitching is just suspect, at least in the rotation. So it's just hard to get up for what's left of this season, knowing that we've got like 9 games against bad teams, but you don't know what team the Astros are going to put out. Altuve's injury kind of clouds everything, and the Astros are, once again being completely closed-lipped about anything other than it's a contusion, and we'll do further tests. That could be anything from he's in the lineup Friday night to we're going to have to cut his foot off with this team.
Yeah. Yeah, the other problem with this team,
I hope they give him a wheel.
There's a
peg with a wheel.
There's zero depth on this team. I don't know why Joe Espada bothers to pinch hit, because you're just pinch hitting for the same guy. The big dummy needs to play. Trammell needs to play. Cam Smith needs to play. That needs to be your outfield. Varsho is 2 for 20, I think, in his Astros career.
We can take
the Velasquez guy they picked up waivers at least already has an RBI. I mean, he understood the assignment, hit the ball hard and deep.
That's how down you are when you are fascinated watching Nick Allen and Velasquez, I don't even know his first name yet, hit sac flies to score runs, and you're excited about that because nobody else on this team seems to know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no faith if Christian Walker, for instance, was up in that role, that he'd actually elevate the ball to the outfield.
Yeah.
It's just it's not a well-constructed team. And Espada's lack of managerial experience is highlighting some things and making it even worse. For instance, you just mentioned Cam Smith. Cam Smith is on a heater right now.
So why is he not batting fourth?
And maybe this is the Cam Smith we're going to get going forward. Maybe it's not. But ride the hot hand and maybe move him up past 7th or 8th or 9th, where he's been batting for the last couple of months. I'm not talking about putting him cleanup, although you're willing to play Dalton Varsho there. Maybe 5th or 6th. Maybe give him an opportunity to help with that heater, help the team score runs because he's actually getting hits now.
Yeah.
What you've done is take your hottest hitter, put him at the bottom of the lineup when nobody's online, and great, he hits a double and he stands there.
I mean, I think they ought to move him to 3rd, frankly, put him behind Alvarez, because now because Paredes is not a consistent enough hitter to really offer protection for Alvarez in the lineup, right? Paredes does two things really well. He works the count and he pulls the ball. But he can go into long, prolonged slumps. I know Cam Smith can too, but to your point, Cam Smith is hot. Put him third. Put him behind. Give Alvarez protection in the lineup and stack your three best hitters together. I don't know. To me, there's no bigger rally killer than Dalton Varsho in the cleanup spot.
Well, and I think also if you're all in on Cam Smith as an organization, he's been here for 2 years, a year and a half. It's probably time to figure out if he can actually hit at the top of the lineup. If you're going to start building a team around him, which is something Dana Brown likes to claim or has liked to claim in the past, that he's what do they call him, aircraft carrier? Just stupid. If he's that carrier,
all the names.
If he's an aircraft carrier, find out if he can actually carry some damn planes.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity. You have a 1.5 game lead in the division. You're in a shit division. You're still negative 27 in run differential. Find a way to score runs.
Yeah.
And our fan base can bitch all they want and remember differently about Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker would have more wins with this exact same roster than Joe Espada does, while still getting guys rest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. This is the time. This is the roster where we really need a plus manager. The Astros don't really have, outside of Yordan Alvarez, plus anything. No. And the thing I noticed is, we talked about this before, where when Pena's struggling at the plate, he also struggles in the field, and it's not a good combination. It's weird. It's almost oh my God, what's his name? Valdez. It's almost Framber Valdez like, where when one part of his game goes, the rest of it goes. Whereas, you couldn't tell when Correa was playing third base how he was doing at the plate. He was still playing the best shortstop and then the best third base possible. So it's been a very frustrating experience. And it's just, to me, it's like they have a losing record since the All-Star break. And I can't imagine that this team that had, do you remember, Andy, go back to 2017 and when the Astros didn't make a deal at the first deadline and Dallas Keuchel was really vocal about it, about we really needed a boost. And then that boost became Justin Verlander. I cannot imagine this team that is
Wait. Are you skipping over Nelson Liriano?
I am.
Sir.
I am.
He pitched in one game in the playoffs, sir.
Yes, he did. Did we win that one? I don't even remember. But I cannot imagine this team that has fought through injuries and scratched and clawed and all of that stuff. And Hunter Brown was gone for most of the season and all of this stuff. Pena was gone for most of the season. And you're still a game and a half in first place and you do nothing to make this team better. I have to imagine it's demoralizing for the Christian Walkers and the Alvarezes and the Altuves to show up every day going, by the grace of God, and the fact that the other teams just seem to suck more is the only reason we're here.
I was going to look something up, but the stupid MLB page is jacked up. It's just this is a bad combination of leadership. It's a bad combination of players. You can't poke a hole in the Dana Brown story without acknowledging that Joe Espada is probably not the manager for this style of team. And I still stand by the idea that Joe Espada is probably going to be a good manager 5 years from now. I don't think it's going to be with the Houston Astros. Maybe it will. But he just doesn't know what he doesn't know at this point.
Yeah.
And I think there is a difference between being the bench coach and being a position coach and being the guy who's ultimately making the decisions. And he just hasn't managed that gap there. And he's on a journey, and that's not even a dig at him. It's just most people don't just automatically get it.
AJ Hinch was terrible in Arizona.
100%. And he will be the first one to tell you that he learned lessons in that job and then having to take a step back and realize that there were things that he could have done better, differently, and just that experience would teach him.
Look, I'm probably a better husband than I was the first time. I almost made a really bad joke. I don't think my ex-wife watches the show though, so that's fine.
Womp womp.
Womp 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 wow. Yeah.
But
I don't know.
and I know we were talking about Pena. I don't worry so much about him because there seems to be 2 weeks out of every season where he just forgets how to play defense completely. Unfortunately, I've attended some of those series. You and I were at a Reds series against the Reds a couple of years ago, where I really think we lost all 3 of those games, and I think we lost all 3 of those games because he had like 4 errors in 3 games.
Yeah, I remember that. For some reason, we just can't beat the Reds. It's like the 70s all over again.
Yeah, they put a graphic up, I guess, the Monday night game. The Giants evidently are the team that we have played the most throughout the Astros history. And it was second to the Reds, and they had the Reds and the Giants and the Dodgers and the Cubs. And which of these teams do you miss playing the most? I don't miss playing the Giants.
I don't really have much memory of playing the Giants. I would say the teams I miss playing the Cardinals and the Cubs the most.
You know what I miss about playing the Giants is we used to have a pitcher in the 90s.
Park?
Mark Portugal.
Oh,
Mark Portugal was horrible against everybody except the Giants.
Yeah, Mark Portugal.
He was like undefeated.
Is he like Hall of Fame yet?
He is following the Shane Reynolds path.
Yeah. He was super jacked though. Remember that? Like he was like he'd beat you in a fist fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then have a beer with you right after.
Yeah.
That was a different era.
He had a 3.5 ERA before it was cool to have a 3.5 ERA. As I'm looking at the upcoming pitchers for the Seattle series, and it's our aces of Lambert with his 3.03 ERA, Wisniewski with his 3.86, and Hunter Brown with his 3.63. Like that's the top of our rotation. But God bless Wisniewski, man. He's going to give you 7, or he's going to give you 6 or 7. He's going to give you 3 runs.
It would be nice if one of these guys, and maybe that is Hayden Wisniewski, is an actual innings eater like we keep getting told that we have to have. Unlike Mike Burrows, he doesn't have to give up 7 runs to get to 7 innings.
Yeah. Wisniewski's, I think, our most consistent pitcher right now. Hunter Brown, I think, still battling back from injury because he's looked brilliant. I mean, like, if you look at his start, I guess it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, his first inning, I think his first 2 innings, he had gotten through hitless and walkless with like 15 pitches. I mean, it looked like he was on the pace for something special. And then, Pena doesn't make a play. Wasn't really an error. It's the play didn't make. And then everything just went sideways and the Astros weren't hitting. I don't remember the Astros struggling to hit in San Francisco, but maybe that's just a hard place to hit. I don't know. Is it? I know like the wind can really affect that place. At least you used to be able to.
I think this team wouldn't have hit at any park yesterday or this series because this team is not hitting right now. There is no other reason for it other than Pena is slumping. I'm glad to see you got a double yesterday, and maybe that breaks him out of it. And Jordan just missed a homer by about 6 inches in the 7th inning.
Yeah, that would have been a homer in 27 other parks.
Yeah, maybe they're coming out of it, and when they come out of it, this team is a much better team. But the fact is that behind them, and I looked at it, Isak hasn't played bad the last week. It's just if you know they're going to walk Alvarez to get to you, you've got to have somebody, to your point, that's more consistent there. So you're looking at trying to be carried by Christian Walker, Isak Paredes, Yainer Diaz, and Taylor Trammell, and all those guys hit before Cam Smith, who's the only other guy on this roster who's hitting right now.
I really appreciate Yainer Diaz in that how, like, unlike Pena, his hitting doesn't affect his defense because he just is consistently one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball.
I don't think that's what you mean. I know what you mean, but I don't think that's what you mean.
Like, oh my God.
This team truly does have, I mean, you probably argue more, three DHs.
Really and truly.
I mean, you've got Jordan and Altuve should be a DH at this point, and Yainer definitely should be a DH, and just with some other franchise.
He should be a DH for Sugarland.
Yeah. I mean, maybe throw Lamont Wade in there. It's hard to say. I did have a horrible thought, and I know I'm going to get hate mail for this. I think this team is ultimately better if Altuve's out for a prolonged amount of time.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's so weird because, on the one hand too, like I'm so tired of hearing people complain about Altuve swinging outside of the zone. I mean, have you watched this guy his whole career?
Well, he's never done that before, Jim. He's never chased pitches.
No, I don't want him change. I mean, I don't know. Like everything else, the discourse makes it all so much worse.
Yeah, you asked about Dalton Varsho, and the stat machines finally started working. 2 for 32.
2 for 32. Oh, that's Jessica's lucky number.
No, I'm sorry. 4 for 32.
4 for 32.
Yeah,
just
that is a 125 average with a 462 OPS. There are certain people on the Xbox that will tell you that he's just about to come out of it, though.
Yeah, and you're going to keep running him out there because you made a trade for him. You made a stupid trade for him. I'm not against trading Arrighetti. I think we've seen all we need to see out of Arrighetti, but you should have been able to get somebody more productive for 3 years of control on what is probably a number 5 starter on most other teams. But this is the problem, Andy. When you build a team that's offense first, offense in baseball naturally ebbs and flows. Versus if you build a team that's pitching first, pitching generally speaking shows up. And right now, I mean, I don't know what it is about Imai coming out of the bullpen. He was great yesterday. He
struggled in the second inning.
Sure.
Too many pitches, but then settled down. And that to me is all about being inside. That's something inside his head. And maybe he makes the leap. The Astros really need him to make the leap next year. I don't think anything gets fixed this year about being able to do that from inning 1 versus inning 2 or inning 3, because he's making way too much money to be a long relief guy. And that's basically what we're going to have for the rest of the season with him, which might be valuable in a playoff situation should we get there. Because you are going to start playing matchups more and getting real particular about pitching performance. But, yeah, it's weird. I don't know that I would have chosen Brian King because Brian King's horrible at any inning.
The Brian King it's like fetch. It's not happening anymore. It's over. He had a nice little run.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is people that want to get really pissed off about Jim Crane involving himself in deals and whatnot. And I hate the fact that Astros Twitter has turned me into a shill for a billionaire, but he vetoed the Brian Abreu trade. Brian Abreu has been fantastic. I think he's not given up a run in his last 13 innings. And it's almost as if, imagine where the Astros would be without Brian Abreu right now if they had traded him. Because I don't remember who they were supposed to get for him, but it wasn't anybody it wasn't Mike Trout. It wasn't Mike Trout from 5 years ago.
It wasn't Mike Trout from 2019.
Yeah, it would have been a losing deal whoever we traded Brian Abreu for. But right now, you're back into that same situation where the 7th and the 8th inning are locked down. The 8th and 9th innings are locked down.
Yeah, I don't know how much because McTaggart kind of but kind of tried to correct that narrative that it wasn't Crane actually vetoing anything. But I don't know who to believe on that because I think McTaggart gets marching orders periodically. Yeah. And we all have bosses. I'm not criticizing him for that.
He is an employee of Major League Baseball and of the Astros, essentially.
But I don't know. I guess just enjoy the games. Enjoy the off day because they're not going to disappoint you today.
Yeah, maybe Seattle will finish getting swept by the Yankees.
We've got what, 4? Is this a wraparound series or just 3 against Seattle this weekend?
It's just 3.
Well, we would like to see.
I think it's just.
I would actually like Seattle to win today, just so because the odds of them losing 9 games in a row or 10 games in a row is pretty small in my mind.
Well, I think they will win today. Although
if they end up winning today, they can start a new losing streak on Friday. Is what I'm hoping for.
What we need, need is we need Seattle to lose, and we need them to lose in like 14 innings.
I will say this:
be good and tired and make up to Houston.
Yeah, I will tread lightly on the Mariners' corpse because they have owned the Astros to the tune of 7-1 this year. So Any win against the Mariners will be a positive step in the right direction because we haven't done that much lately.
No, we haven't. It's just, yeah, it's definitely been frustrating for sure. Are you a Jack Reacher guy?
Which version of Jack Reacher are we talking about?
The show, the Amazon show.
The show, yes, and I don't
he's
need
back.
I don't need anybody chiming in on telling me that it's unrealistic or that it is exactly what Jack Reacher is supposed to be.
He's a human.
It is a giant guy beating the shit out of people.
Yeah, he is a human tank. I actually did like the Tom Cruise movies. I saw them much later, like after the show had come out, and I definitely understand all the complaints about the size part of the casting. Tom Cruise doesn't look like what the book describes him as. But I showed Jessica the bar scene from the first movie, and I mean it's pretty badass. But no,
well, the issue. My Tom Cruise issue is that if you called those movies anything else besides Jack Reacher, they'd be perfectly fine. It's just that if you read a Jack Reacher novel and then you saw that, the disconnect was too great, too much of a leap. So the takeaway here is books are bad. Don't read them because you'll just enjoy TV more.
Yeah, you'll just
TV and movies you'll enjoy more if you don't read books.
But it's not
lost all the people that complained about Project Hail Mary. Project Hail Mary is a great movie. Yes, I really enjoyed it. But the people who read the book, oh well, it didn't have the same amount of detail that the book did. Well, of course it didn't.
Yeah, shocking.
It would be a 16-hour movie if it did.
Yeah, and it's all nerd stuff they cut out. So
not an easy talk. So again, just don't read.
But it's
you heard it here, folks.
It's not lost on me that I'm tickled that both Ted Lasso and Reacher are both back because they couldn't be more different characters. But I did think it was a little ridiculous that we got a suicide warning at the beginning of the episode, and it's like you're not going to warn us for when he, I don't know, squeezed the guy to death with the bookshelf in episode 2. I mean, can we just say a lot of people are going to die on this episode?
The only reason
Talk about reading being bad.
The only reason you didn't get a warning is because nobody has sued over somebody being. I was inspired to crush my brother with a bookcase because I saw it on Jack Reacher. When that lawsuit happens, every show will have a warning. Anytime there's a bookcase involved, in my real life, I work in HR, and people hate HR. Well, you do these stupid things that impede the business, and you give us warnings for things. We do this because somebody has been sued, and nobody else wants to be sued for the exact same thing. So our brilliant legal minds in this country got together and said, well, if you just tell people that it's about to happen or give them a warning that it could happen, your liability is gone. So that's why we do sexual harassment training. That's why we do respectful workplace training and all the other things, because we don't want to be sued. And that's why you get a suicide warning in front of anything that has anything to do with suicide or suicide idealization or any of those things, because those production companies just don't want lawsuits.
Yeah. Interesting.
If you think that's dumb, it's the same thing as if you read a warning label on a product like Tide Pods, like do not eat this. That's because somebody did.
No, I get it. It's just you're right though. It's dumb. It's all dumb. Let me ask you this. You know, we talked last time about how I was talking about how I'm already kind of exhausted by the college football season, and my YouTube feed is filled with just nonstop hot takes about this and that and whatever. What in result for A&M would you be happy with? Would you say to yourself, okay, this makes a successful season?
I mean, I think in the New World Order, making the playoffs, that's a successful season. Short of that, winning 10 games, winning 9 or 10. Well, I'm going to caution on the wins. Winning 9 or 10 games, and I say that because of the 9-game SEC schedule now. Winning 9 or 10 and being in the conversation for the playoffs is kind of a bare minimum for a successful season. Below that's mid, and there are a lot of reasons that you don't accomplish that. You have injuries, you have a young team, you have a lot of things that can happen in the course of a college football season. But on a general season-to-season standpoint, I don't think you I don't think most fans should go into a college football season expecting a national championship, and if you don't reach that level, everything else was a failure. That's stupid. And why do you even bother with the sport? One team gets to be happy, 158 other teams have to hate themselves.
I think the people who live by that standard have never been successful in their own lives.
It's probably true. So I want to be a program. I want Texas A&M to be a program that is always in the playoff conversation and makes it, I don't know, a good number, 6 out of 10 years. And then from there, you need to start winning some games. But we haven't done that yet. So the step for A&M this year is to maintain and build on what they did last year. But I also recognize the schedule is much harder than it was last year.
The conference schedule for A&M is just as difficult as Texas's is. The non-conference is obviously Ohio State's better than Arizona State, but or Arizona.
And you literally never know, because we all thought that A&M had a hard schedule at the beginning of last year, and all of those teams kind of collapsed during the year. LSU wasn't supposed to be as bad as LSU was.
That's true.
Missouri wasn't supposed to be as bad.
I'm still skeptical how much Lane's going to work in LSU, frankly. But part of why
your one's tough for Lane, I think.
Part of me asked because Josh Pate did his prediction, and he's got Texas losing to Notre Dame in the national championship. And to me, by any measure, that should be a successful season. I just know how the internet's going to react if that happens.
Well, it's always been interesting to me, and this is not just college sports, but somehow the team that loses the championship, whether it's the Super Bowl or the World Series or the NBA Finals or the College Football National Championship, is the worst team in history.
Yeah.
They're just a horrible. Think about the Buffalo Bills, who went to 4 consecutive Super Bowls but did not win one of those games, and somehow are viewed as the biggest losers of that time period. It's a weird thing, and it happened to the Minnesota Vikings before that. It's
and
happened
the Broncos before they got off the schneid.
It's happened to numerous baseball teams.
I mean, the Atlanta Braves from the 90s, we give them a big, massive asterisk because they only won 1 World Series out of that run.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing that we do with our sports teams. So I like to be able to take a step back, and I like to have consistent expectations. Again, I know a lot of things can happen in the middle of a season, but in the microcosm of this year, I would like to win 10 games and be in the playoffs again. That's I think, to me, a successful season. And there's shades of gray around that. I don't have any hard lines because there are a lot of variables.
Mm-hmm.
This schedule looks harder because Alabama's on it, for instance. What if Alabama just fucking tanks this year?
I mean, I'm not a big believer in. I think the shine on Alabama is gone, and I think that as the arms race continues to keep up, as the arms race continues to blow up, I don't know that Alabama is going to consistently be able to keep up, because I don't think they have the rich donors that we have at Texas or A&M or Notre Dame or Ohio State or Florida or Michigan.
I also think you lost probably the best coach in the history of college football. And you also lost an era where it was designed for the things that made Nick Saban successful. I don't know that you're ever going to have a team or a program like Alabama was for almost 20 years. And Alabama hasn't always been Alabama of that period. They sucked with Mike Shula. They sucked with a few other guys. But I think the way college football is set up now, with the NIL, with unlimited transfers, parity is going to rule. A team that can consistently win 9 or 10 is going to be revered a lot more than a team that always won 12, because it's going to be harder to do. Alabama took advantage of a time period and absolutely great results from it, but I don't think they ever get back there. And I also don't think that their current coach, while I think he's a great coach, is in a great situation for him. Because it's hard to be the guy that follows the guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. It's hard to be. We say that all the time. You want to be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy.
Right.
You don't want to be David Pierce. You want to be Schloss following Augie.
I'd take David Pierce's paycheck.
Yeah.
I'll take the paycheck he's getting from Rice right now.
I'm about to say, yeah. All of these are different shades of doing better than I am, for what it's worth. Yeah, I mean, I really wish I could find a way to block out the discourse. That's the problem with football that you don't exist with baseball is you've got this week between games where you're hungry for the content, even though the content is likely going to piss you off. And now ESPN has doubled down on douchebag TV, like that's becoming unwatchable. Should
we start doing our show in tank tops? Will that get more viewers?
I bet you we would get more views. I don't know, Craig. You're watching. You think would you keep watching us if Andy and I were just in tank tops? For every once in a while, I did it shirtless. I don't know. We'll see.
What if I had someone in my office try to kick field goals between takes? I mean, you could do that.
I like that. I got to think Kirk Herbstreit's just like, what am I doing with this clown? I don't imagine those guys bro out or anything.
Kirk just goes back with his golden retriever and says, "I'm done.
I'm done." Yeah, I'm going to need a safe distance.
I'm going to have some dog time now.
Yeah, he needs a douchebag warning when he walks on set. All right, well, that will wrap us up. Douchebag warning is a good place to stop, don't you think?
I thought you meant we were going to start talking about our president again, but no, we're finishing.
No, I do. There is something I wanted to bring up. I just want to I don't know why we're shocked. I don't know why we are shocked that the president and his war plan, but what's going on the USS Abraham Lincoln right now, or that they have been on deployment since November. These ships are designed for 6-month deployments. They are on food rationing. They have got such a bad mental situation that I think 3 sailors have tried to literally jump overboard. And I don't know how your brother's maybe been on an aircraft carrier at sea. I don't know if he ever did. I haven't, but I suspect that's not a super safe thing. I mean, I've been on one at port. That's a long way down.
He was on PT boats. But anyway, it's once again, the most pro-military president we've ever had, according to him, doesn't give 2 shits about our servicemen. And I know that this show gives sailors shit periodically, and that's good-natured from the standpoint of the Army vet on the show. But there is no reason men that volunteer to defend this country should be existing in the conditions they're existing on that ship at this time, other than our president and our secretary of defense are so above their skis that they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
The fact that the Military Times is the one writing these articles, and they're getting op-eds from spouses of sailors that are now like they've not had contact with them. I mean, it is. It just shows you how unthought out this little detour was, that they didn't prepare another carrier to relieve them mid-operation. And, at some point, I've never been on a ship, but I cannot imagine the level of psychological pressure you're under to be looking at the same 4 walls for over a year.
And then, it's not. It certainly isn't the same, because I know I could walk off, but the battleship that's docked at Corpus Christi, whose name escapes me right now.
Lexington.
Thank you. Not a new ship, and certainly not an example of the modern ships that we have. But one of the things that I am aware of that all of these large ships have in common is close quarters for the people serving on the boats, because they have to, because that's not the priority, is what you're carrying, not necessarily the men working on what you're carrying, men and women. I've stayed a night on the Lexington as part of a Boy Scout thing with my son many years ago. It is the most claustrophobic thing, and I knew that I could leave at any time I wanted to. Imagine being there, being in the middle of the ocean, being surrounded by a few hundred other people in the exact same situation, and also not having the luxury of 3 meals a day. not having the luxury of being able to clean yourself, not having the luxury of working toilets everywhere they're supposed to be working toilets. There are some rumors that I tend to believe that that ship took on some damage that has been unreported to the people at large, and dealing with that situation. And now we're going on month 10 for what's supposed to be a 6-month deployment per round on these ships. It's a horrible situation. And the fact that our president and, again, the Secretary of Defense won't even acknowledge that it's an issue just speaks volumes about how little they care about the people who have volunteered to protect us. And the fact that the MAGA voters keep defending this jackass as pro-military is maybe the most. I understand people voting against their interests out of spite. There is no voting against your interest when it comes to jeopardizing our servicemen.
Yeah, and again, like you said, 10 months, they're on food rationing, which means I don't know why they can't get supplies out to the ship. I don't understand the logistics of it all. I've heard the same thing, that there have been damage to the ships. They're not getting communication home. They don't have enough toiletries. I mean, all of it is so beyond the pale of, I'm not sure the guys in World War II had this level of, in particular to the standards to which they were used to living in this substandard of a situation. It is complete ridiculous, and it's a complete insult. And at the same time, he's posting memes, AI generated, of him serving in World War II. You know, Donnie, you had the chance to serve. You just chose not to.
Yeah, there's as an aside, but kind of related, there's a fun Instagram account and whose name escapes me right now, and they cook the recipes of the rations that different armies had during World War II and World War I. I think they've gone back to in Vietnam. And one of the things that will strike you is that when they cover what you might have gotten on a boat or what you might have gotten in a foxhole as a U.S. soldier was always dramatically better and more consistent than what you would have gotten if you were, for instance, a Russian soldier. It started off this, but as they lost the ability to feed their soldiers, which is why they would need the help of the U.S. in a lot of ways, it got lower and lower, where it's like a crust of bread and some beets and shit like that. And it was interesting from the standpoint of watching the cook. But one of the consistent things is the U.S. soldiers, the U.S. military always planned out food for their men because they understood armies travel on their stomachs. That's, kind of an axiom. Our current administration doesn't seem to know or care that that's a thing. And I mean, it's almost to the point of what you would consider torture if you were doing it to prisoners of war.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw some of the news footage of some of what these guys are eating, but it's like a slab of meat that, mystery meat, who knows what it really is. It's ridiculous that the richest, most powerful military in the world can't, it's one thing if you got to determine that the deployment needs to be longer, but you can resupply. You're not combat effective if your guys are hungry, if your guys are sleep deprived, and if your guys' morale is in the toilets that's not happening to be working.
Well, and if we don't have the military strength to send supply ships out to an aircraft carrier, then we don't really have military strength, do we?
No. And if we can't get supplies to an aircraft carrier, how are we getting ships through the strait, which apparently is happening?
Or it's not. I mean, this is one of those fun things that we talk about. Are we believing every other country, or are we believing our president, who's claiming that ships are going through, or at least his administration is? Because as of this morning, there's an iron curtain, or somebody's calling us the iron curtain, or steel curtain he used, which felt an awful lot like iron curtain to me.
Yeah, which
I guess he doesn't understand the connotation of. That's a whole thing. Or do I believe Iran, Oman, Saudi Arabia, who are claiming one ship per day is now getting through?
Yeah. We can also end the day on another sad and depressing note. Senior Lake Travis football player Odin Hensley died of a cardiac arrest during practice earlier this week. Just incredibly sad. It's definitely affecting members of the Central Texas community, including where I teach because of our proximity. And it's funny to me, or not funny, but it's because it isn't the same days of you and I growing up playing football where water breaks weren't a thing and you got a Coke at the end of practice. Like they go out of their way to take good care of these kids. It's just sometimes you just don't know. And just incredibly heartbreaking for that family in Lake Travis.
Salt tablets.
Remember that? Yeah.
Given salt tablets, but you could not give the African American players salt tablets because they all have high blood pressure. That was a thing that was said.
And we're not even of the Junction Boys era, right? Like when all of that.
This is the 80s.
Yeah, this is still the 80s at least, where at St. Ambrose we didn't really have water jugs, but there was a spigot, there was a hose by one of the
there you go. There you Gen X folks talk about drinking from your damn hoses again.
That's right. That's right. But just our thoughts and prayers go to Odin Hensley and his family. It's just way too young and sad. And I don't know how I think Lake Travis is a big enough, serious enough football operation that I'm sure they were doing things right. Sometimes things just, you don't know till you don't know.
Well, so prayers for that kid and his family.
Absolutely.
And the Travis community.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that will wrap up this off day. We will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully, at a minimum, we'll see the Astros take 2 of 3 from Seattle. And, really, they are still the team I would worry about getting hot because they think they do have the pitching. And here's hoping
despite their efforts of trying to trade it away.
Yeah, because nobody, weird trade deadline all around. But this has been Off Day with Ballpark Nation. I'm Jim. That's Andy. We will see you on Tuesday.